So this is a holistic language learning video. Holistic language learning is the name that I've given to the idea that language learning is hard, right? It takes a significant portion of your life, and therefore to have a good chance of success at a high level, like to reach a decent level of fluency in a language, you kind of need to arrange your life around that as much as you can. And then I had this idea that like you could sort of arrange your life around it and try experiments of productivity and just living a better life, a healthier life, a mentally healthier life, all that kind of stuff, and apply them directly to language learning. See how well they apply to that field, and then see if there's something, or if they're worthwhile, something that you want to apply to the rest of your life, or if they're worthwhile for you, for your language learning, for everything. Can they make you more productive as a person as a whole? And can they make your language learning better? Can you make your language learning more efficient and therefore have more time to work on your personal health? Or can you have more time for those things, or make those things more efficient to give yourself more time to work on language learning? I think, even though I've probably explained it in quite a kind of rambly, bad way just there, I actually think it's quite an interesting idea, and I really think that the most successful language learners that we've seen out there, people like Luca Lampariello, Steve Kaufman, they've actually, even if accidentally, introduced this. I know that Luca works on his kind of general life health, and he reads books that are not to do with language learning, just as a way of bettering himself, as a sort of personal development thing. And that's one of the things that has allowed him to keep learning new languages every 2 years. So, cold showers. Cold showers is, I figured, a good one to start with, because as you probably know, a lot of people out there have been doing cold showers. Some people have switched to cold showers permanently. Big sort of, I guess, celebrity YouTubers like Matt Diavella, he did it for 30 days. He did it in a much colder climate than me. I mean, I think he lives in a reasonably warm part of the States, but February in the States is definitely colder than I've been doing it since December in Australia, which is like one of the hottest places you could do it. We have had some cold days though. Anyway, I've been doing it for 50 days. I'm going to do it for a further 50 days at least, and then I'll talk about whether I'm going to do it for longer. But so 100 days obviously total for those of you who can't add up 50 and 50. And it's actually surprising how kind of potent the effects have been. So those thumbnails that you see are like, oh, not what I expected. They're not just clickbait. They're legitimate. It is not what I expected either. And the implications it has for language learning have been much more than I thought. I honestly thought I'd do this video like cold showers for language learning. No, it's not a thing. It is a thing. The first and probably most obvious effect for me was just time. I guess like anyone else, I'm a bit of a creature of comfort. Once I get in a warm shower, I like it. I think most of us like it. And I just stay there for a very long time. Like people talk about like, oh, he's bad. He has like 10-minute showers. I'm pretty sure if I actually timed my hot showers, they would be like 11, 12, 13 minutes, which is a bit embarrassing to admit when I live in a dry country that's on fire at the moment, although I should point out it's pouring and we're supposed to have a ton of rain in the next 6 days, so that's great. But yeah, I like warm showers and I stay in there for a very long time. I think we all stay in there for longer than we intend to. But cold showers, no, right? 1 minute, 2 minutes max. If it's a hot day, I'll stay in there for like 2 minutes. If it's a cold day, I'm in there for 40 seconds. And I know that sounds like I'm saying, well, I save, 8 or 9 minutes a day, but it's also the whole sort of process of a warm shower just takes me longer, in that I kind of like, I know it's a thing that I like, so I'll sort of go, yeah, I'll do this and then I'll put my towel here and I'll do this. With a cold shower, it's something that it generates resistance, and that is I don't want to do it, and I'm aware that I don't want to do it, so I get it over with as quickly as I possibly can, and I actually try not to think about it. I'm like, I need to have a shower time, hammer time. And the other thing is, I've used it to sort of as an alternative for caffeine to sort of kind of try to equalize my levels of alertness. So if I have a French lesson, which is what I've been doing lately. I've been concentrating on French, and I have it at a time that I would normally be tired, which I do try to avoid, obviously, but sometimes I just have that's what has to happen. And I feel myself sort of dropping off as we approach the French lesson. I will wait until like 10 minutes before the French lesson, jump in the cold shower, and like run up to my place, my study where I have the lessons, right? So I've just come out of a cold shower and I feel much more alert, and that takes a lot less time than a warm shower would, which not only would I not have it right before the lesson, but I also wouldn't be able to do it so quickly, because it's sort of, like I said, it's a bit of a process. So in total, when I consider the sort of stuffing around that I'll normally do before a warm shower, compared to the just getting in and out as quickly as possible with a cold shower, and doing that sometimes like literally minutes before a French lesson, which I'd never have time to do with a warm shower, consider all that time saved, it's actually probably more like 15 minutes, which comes out to something like 94 hours a year, which is almost 12 working days. It's almost 4 whole days, 12 working days. Imagine what you could do with that as a language learning tool. 12 working days, right? Again, and now you might not spend so long in the shower, you might not spend so long thinking about whether you're having a shower, but I almost guarantee you that if you start taking cold showers, the process will get significantly shorter, to the point that sometimes I'll have a shower and then I'll do something that gets me sweaty, like going for a run or something, and I don't mind just having a second one. I used to not like doing that because of just the time that it would take, and also the fact that I was wasting a lot of water. But now, because I'm only having a shower for a minute, I'm not wasting nearly as much water as I was before, and in total I'm saving a lot of water compared to before. So basically a shower has become like a very short thing, and it's something that I can use to wake myself up before a lesson. So that's the first benefit, just time. The second benefit is more intuitive. That is, you would guess that this would be an effect of having cold showers, but I've found it reinforced, because we know it's one of those things that we know, but we tend to forget that we know it, or we tend to forget that it's a thing. And that is the power of just starting. So I said before that it's hot in Australia, right? And some of these days it's been like 38, 39 degrees. It's been 27 inside. And so on those days you'd think surely it's fine to have a cold shower. Surely you'd do that anyway. Actually, it's extremely unpleasant to go from 27 degrees ambient temperature into a cold shower. That's probably the worst for starting, but it's always the nicest for continuing. And those are the only ones that have gone for like 2 or 3 minutes as opposed to 45 seconds. But it shows the benefit of starting. It's just like with doing the language learning exercise that you don't want to do. For me, it's watching my Skype lessons back. There's something about it. I actually like it when I start it, but I don't like starting. I don't know why. I don't feel like it does anything maybe, but it does a huge amount, and I enjoy it when I start it. What I do is actually drag the window over so that I'm out of shot, so that I don't have to look at myself. I just look at the teacher. But that's something that it's just start. And it's actually pretty easy to then get to the end of the lesson, that is the end of the recorded lesson. And then by then it will have been 2 hours because I'm taking notes and stuff. So it's a massive language learning benefit, but it's that thing that I just don't want to start, and I haven't done it nearly enough. And cold showers have just reinforced that thing of like, just start. It's not that bad once you do. The next benefit is possibly, it seems like the least applicable to language learning, but I did do a video a couple of months ago with a thumbnail that just says awkward. I'll put it there. That was about how if you increase your tolerance for discomfort, you can increase your opportunities to learn a language, particularly if you live in the country of the language you're trying to learn, the target language country, and those people there tend to speak English or your language very well, because they will want to do that, right? But that's just because they're trying to avoid awkwardness. If you just refuse, basically, if you just learn that tiny bit of discomfort, learn to take that tiny bit of discomfort to the point where you're like, no, sorry, not doing it, then that will greatly increase your opportunities to learn that language. And the same applies if you don't live in the country, just a little bit less so. And I would say that very little that I've done in my life, nothing really, has increased my tolerance for discomfort, even in like social situations which have nothing to do with the idea of being cold, more than cold showers. It actually surprised me, and I'm not making this up. There's been a couple of times that people who generally tend to be time wasters and just like people whom I know, and they generally tend to be time wasters, and they just do things that make everyone's life difficult. They've been like, oh, I'll just do this, and I'm like, no, you won't. And then I've kind of gone, where did that come from? And I honestly think it's cold showers. I think in the recesses of my mind, there's something that's saying, I stand in cold water when I don't need to every day, and I did that at 5:30 this morning, and you're telling me that you're about to take up 2 hours of my time over this crappy little project that I don't even care about? No, right? And it's the sort of like, these are people who have come to expect from me that I do these things, and come to expect from everyone that I do these things. And I'm just saying, no, I'm not being rude. I'm just saying it's not happening. I'm not happy with where this is going. It's just not happening. And it's weird. I know I'm making it sound like I've become this kind of narcissistic kind of monster. It's not that. It's just those situations that you should say no to. If you are bad at saying no to things, if you are bad at telling people what you actually want, at asking people for outcomes that you actually want, and I suggest that you start with cold showers. I really do, because something about your level of discomfort, it goes up, and you don't mind awkwardness. The other thing is, in almost any situation that with social gatherings, there will be those kind of awkward pauses and stuff. And you get those people who try and break it up by going, oh, well, this is awkward, right? You become one of those people who just doesn't care. You're like, it is awkward. That's cool. It's sort of hard to describe, but I promise you, take cold showers and you'll start seeing what I mean, where you just stop caring about stupid little things like that. It doesn't matter. It's like a few seconds at most. It's shorter than your shower. You will stop caring about those things, and that just makes you a more sort of calm, on the right wavelength kind of person. So yeah, I suggest cold showers for that. And the last way that it has helped me to think about, at least, language learning principles is just in the power of momentum of habits. So I already knew about the power of habits, but momentum of habits. So for example, when I stood up to do this video, I say stood up because I'm clearly standing, but started recording this video, I thought, yeah, I've been doing cold showers for about 30 days. And then I went, hang on, no, I started on December 18th. So it's actually been about 50 days now. So I've only got 50 days left. And when I first set the 100-day goal, I was thinking, 100 days, I don't think I can do that. I'm too much of a wuss to do that. Like Matt Diavella, he's way more hardcore than I am. And he did it for 30 days. Like, I can't do 100 days, right? And then before I know it, I'm halfway through it. And now I'm thinking, should I actually go through April as well? Because April will be colder, in case you're not familiar with Australian weather. I reckon I can probably do April as well and see how that goes for me. See if I can keep stepping it up as it gets colder, and as I start to have to take them earlier because I'll be working more during April. This is the momentum of habits, right? When you set goals, normally, this is a whole goal setting thing. I think David Goggins talks about this. I think it's him. It may not be. So my apologies to whoever first had this idea. Just multiply them by 10. So they call it 10xing them. 10x your goals. And just see what that does in terms of, I'm not saying go for them, and I don't think they say go for them at 10 either, although they do suggest that you think through what that would look like. What would it look like for you to 10 times your goals? What would you have to change in your life? So a lot of people say, I'm going to do German for 30 minutes for the rest of the year or something. It's like, 30 minutes? That's soft as. Come on, come up with a real goal. Why even have the goal of 30 minutes? Again, not saying that everyone who has that goal is soft, not saying that people don't have time restraints on their day, but just as an experiment, multiply that by 10. So that's 300 minutes, 5 hours. Could you do 5 hours? You probably could. That's the weird thing about this. You probably actually could do 5 hours. It's just that your life would look significantly different to 30 minutes, obviously. So seriously think about what you would have to change to do 5 hours of your language a day. would you have to not watch TV? That's probably going to be one thing, or watch TV in your target language. The thing is, you do have 5 hours in the day. Unless you work an insane amount, you do actually have 5 hours in your day. So, what can you do with your day that would make it look different? That was terrible. You know what I mean. What can you do to make the goal of 5 hours a day achievable? Think about that for a couple of days if you have to, at least an hour. And then go back to that 30 minutes and think, is that a bit soft? Often the goals you set, they're arbitrary. They come from nothing, and so they're always smaller and more achievable than they really should be, right? So try 10xing them in your head, and then if that's obviously impossible, like there's just no way that's going to happen, bring it back to 4 times the original goal, or that would be 40% of the 10x goal, right? And you go, yes, that's possible, and suddenly you're aiming for something. You're actually really aiming for something as a real goal 4 times what you were going for before. I've sort of done this recently with my friends. In March, not April, March, I'm going to try to learn 3,000 French words, right? 100 words a day. And the point is not actually to learn 3,000 French words, because anyone who knows anything about language learning will be like, well, that's not necessarily going to improve your fluency. No, the point is to see how much French I can do in a day, and not to have a goal as hours, but to have a goal as a certain amount of measurable French learned. 3,000 in a month. I was going to say in a day then. That would really be multiplying the goals. 3,000 in a month. I think that started from saying, what would like a normal number be? I think a lot of people go for 10 a day, 10 words a day. I'm going, okay, 100 words a day. Is it possible? Probably not. Am I going to go for it anyway? Yes, and that's the point. I strongly suggest that if you're looking to make your language learning more a bigger part of your life, if you're looking to improve your life in a way that can thus improve your language learning, if you're looking to do anything like that, if you're looking to, when I say if you're looking to improve your life, I mean who isn't looking to improve their life? If you're looking to kind of self-develop in the ways that I'm talking about, I strongly suggest you start with cold showers. And I cannot believe I'm saying that, because 50 days ago, I honestly thought it was just a gimmick. I thought people were just going, yeah, I'm taking cold showers so that I seem like I'm tough, even though I've never been in a battle situation or whatever, which I clearly never have been. The point isn't what I thought it was, I guess. I would be really interested to hear from anyone who has taken cold showers, anyone who's about to start doing it. I think it's directly applicable to language learning. I think it's much more applicable to the rest of life, and therefore gives you more time and more, confidence and everything in language learning situations. I think it's a really good thing to do. I would urge you guys to do it, and I'd urge you to let me know what you think of it in the comments. And yeah, if you're new here, this is what this channel's all about, and sometimes the videos are a bit more cool looking and have graphics and stuff, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just me standing in front of my bed talking to you. I hope you liked it, and if you're new here, you should subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.